such interesting how they pulled it
Yeah.
together. It's strange.
1 second, you're talking about the skull?
Tree
Or
life, the tree.
no, I didn't look at that yet.
Oh.
I was just looking at
You did that?
I mean, I saw it, but I didn't look at it in detail.
What did Joe Burke sent me something ages ago?
Today is Monday, Yud Shvat. It's a great day. The Rebbe's Kabbalah Sanasiyas, and the previous Rebbe's Yom HaYelula. Yud Shvat Tovshin Ayin Gimel. We are in the middle of the Mamar, Veheinif Yodo al hanohor of Achar Shel Pesach Tovshin Yud Aleph. And we are, that's in Teres Menachem Sefer Mamar Tovshin Yud Aleph Tovshin Yud Beis. We're on page Samach. We are discussing Mashiach, and the fact that Mashiach will be endowed with this quality of judging people through the sense of smell, rather than in the conventional way of judging people through the presentation of evidence and analysis. And the Rebbe explained that the sense of smell is connected. The reason for that is because the sense of smell is connected to the very essence of the soul. The mouth is the gateway to the heart, and the nose is the gateway to the brain. That is why the sense of smell has a strong scent has the ability to revive the person from his etzem nefesh. And he explained that there are two levels in the life force, which is beyond the usual, and that is chayin and chayin de chayin, life and life of life. The right nostril is connected to chayin, and the left nostril is connected to chayin de chayin. Basically, generally, we're talking about the etzem nefesh. In Spheris, as it plays out in the divine attributes, chayin would be the external dimension of atik, the external dimension of the inner aspect of keser, and chayin de chayin would be the internal aspect of the internal dimension of the inner aspect of keser. Chayin is chetzonis atik, and chayin de chayin is pnimius atik. Then I've explained that Kabbalah's oil is linked, rooted in the very highest levels of chayin de chayin, of pnimius atik, and therefore Kabbalah's oil has the ability, when all else fails, to reactivate the person's ability, desire, and so on and so forth to learn Torah. We're up to Oish Gimel, page Samach. Al-Piza Yuvon, according to this we will understand that the main quality of Mashiach is connected to the idea of smell, the sense of smell. The Rebbe pointed out before that although the Pasuk enumerates quite a few qualities that Mashiach will possess, it's quite clear from the Pasuk that this idea of him being endowed with this ability to judge through the sense of smell is the most unique quality that he'll possess, because the Pasuk emphasizes it both in the positive and the negative. It says, V'haricha b'yiras Hashem, he will animate him, or what was the other word we found over there in the translation? He will animate him with the fear of God, which means V'haricha, the idea of sense of smell. And then he says he will not judge to the sight of his eyes or to what he hears with his ears. So it's because he emphasizes this in both ways, this seems to imply that this is the most unique quality of Mashiach. So what will be Mashiach's most unique quality? The Meirach V'doyin, he will sense by smelling V'doyin, and he will judge. Why is that his most special quality? This is because of the special quality that is possessed in the sense of smell. It reaches the very essence. The very innermost dimension of the inner level of keser, of atik. And in what way does it reach that level? It doesn't just reach that level the way that level is in itself. It reaches it in such a way it reaches it in such a way that it actually touches it, and it draws from there, that it becomes manifest in revealed intellect and revealed chokhmah. That's the point of what we say concerning Mashiach, that he will sense through his ability of smelling, v'doin, and he will judge. What does it mean? So you've got both aspects here. The fact that you have this sense of smell and also the judgment. So it means that whatever is reached through the sense of smell actually becomes manifest. Meaning to say that although it is actually a matter of judgment, which means that there's something manifest that's taking place. Nevertheless, however, he will not judge by the sight of his eyes, and he will not rebuke by what he hears with his ears. What does that mean? It means he will not judge by understanding and comprehension, and not even by the higher level of intellect. Haskalah, the very highest levels of intellect. No, he won't even judge according to seeing. Chachma at the very highest level is connected to sight. It means like seeing something with your mind's eye, right? So none of those. He will not judge based on any of those. But rather, he will sense and he will judge. What does that mean? In other words, shahadin hu al pi'inyan hareich shemegiya b'ha'etzem. It means that the judgment will be through the sense of smell, which reaches the very essence. And from there he will draw it down even into wisdom and even into revealed seichel. In more tangible words, what does that mean in the practical way? So the Rebbe over here in the next place says something very profound and very beautiful. I think it's also very appropriate and apt that we're learning about this today, which is Yushvat. And here he quotes from a Sikha of the previous Rebbe. And in fact, the Teichen of the content of this Sikha is actually connected to the Maimer of Bosei Lagani as it is relevant or related to this year's cycle, where we're focusing on Ois Gimel, the third chapter in the Maimer, which talks about the Shtus Kedusha and Shtus Lumazah, or rather Shtus Lumazah. So this is also, based on everything that we explained here, we will also understand the meaning. It goes along with the words of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, in his Sikha. In one of the Sikhas of the previous Rebbe, Bebiur Mashekosev Mashiach V'Haricha B'Yiras Hashem, when he explains this pasuk concerning Mashiach. V'Haricha B'Yiras Hashem, he will be animated with the fear of God. He will not judge to the sight of his eyes, and he will not rebuke to what he hears with his ears. So the Frierdiker Rebbe explains it as follows. But in other words, what he's trying to say is like this. Does it mean, the question is like this, does it mean that the method of judgment is just different? In other words, one way of judging, as we know, the conventional way, is you present the evidence and you analyze it. That's one way of judging it. So we say Mashiach, no. We won't have to present him with the evidence, he will sense it. So if we only approach it from that point of view, it seems that what? That it just the method of judgment is different. But the actual judgment is the same. The Frierdiker Rebbe says no, it's inherently different. It's a completely different type of judgment. Shamishpat the Mashiach here bazeh sheyeda asasibes shevius abzulas l'matzav shenimtzabei. The judgment of Mashiach will be in such a way that he will know the reasons that brought that person that he's judging to the condition in which he finds himself. Ukemaimer, and it says, as it says in the Mishnah in Avos, al todin es chaver chad shetegiel em kaimei. Do not judge your friend until you will arrive in his place, until you will experience the circumstances that your friend is experiencing. The person himself knows and recognizes and knows the reasons, the causes that have brought him to the situation in which he's in. Ultimately, this is the way the judgment of the other should be. That one needs to delve into the reasons that have brought him to this situation. Meaning to say that what? Veheinif. One has to recognize that really essentially the other person is good. Why then does he find himself in an undesirable state? It is only for side reasons. Right? And Mashiach will have the ability to actually delve down to the circumstances that brought the person to that situation. Normal judgment is you present with the evidence. You presented with the evidence that one is not allowed to do so-and-so, and one did do so-and-so. So therefore, based on the evidence, you judge whether the person is guilty or innocent. Mashiach will delve even deeper. He will go into the dynamics of it. What brought the person to those circumstances? And on that basis, he will judge whether the person is guilty or innocent. Ubehektim. And the Rebbe gives here a preface. Sheyesh chayshvim shesicha eina ela divrei drush ba'alma. There are those that think that a sicha, a talk by a Rebbe, is only words of, homiletic words, meaning to say that it doesn't have the veracity of something meaningful. It's it's nice, but it's less meaningful than or even not meaningful at all in the real sense. Ach be'emes, says the Rebbe, this is wrong. Really and truly, this is wrong. Why? The Talmud says that the Chazal say in the Gemara in Sukkah that it says in the Pasuk, in the first chapter of Tehillim, it says, it talks about a God-fearing man, talks about the praising the man who learns Torah and is dedicated to Hashem. It basically talks about a Talmid Chacham. And it says, he will be like a tree that's strongly planted and rooted on the streams of water, right? On the channels of the water. And his leaves will not wither. Who gives its fruit in its time, and his fruits do not dry up, they don't wither. So the fruits of a Talmid Chacham, of a scholar, are basically his Torah, right? What are his leaves? The leaves of the Talmid Chacham? Says the Talmud, that's his Sichas Chulin. That is his mundane speech, his sort of, I wouldn't say throwaway remarks, but the things that he says, not necessarily in the course of learning Torah. It's just the side issues that he discusses. So Chazal say that on this pasuk, that they say Sichasan shel Talmidei Chachamim tzrichen limud, that the talks of Talmidei Chachamim, of scholars, need to be learned. And the Talmud of there says that from the throwaway remarks, as it were, I think from Ram Gamliel, they learned two dinim in actual how a person should conduct himself in daily life. So we see that that even the mundane words of Talmud Chacham have veracity. How much more so when we talk about it, when what we're referring to is a talk of a Rebbe, Nosi Manig Hador, a leader, the leader, and the Nosi Manig, the leader of the generation. Concerning a leader of the generation, you don't need even to refer back to a reference in the Talmud to understand that whatever he says is meaningful. So certainly when it comes to a Rebbe, certainly his talks are founded on the depths of the Kabbalah. So going back now to this Sikha of the Frierdiker Rebbe, where he says, by the way, it's a beautiful, beautiful Sikha, and I would strongly urge you to read it. It's in the Likutei Deburim. I believe it's translated because the Likutei Deburim has been translated. And if you want to know exactly where it is, you can look in reference 20. And he connects it to a story, very relevant and very beautiful, and he talks about the circumstances that bring a person to stumble, etc., which is very much connected to the Basi Lagani chapter that we're learning this year. But getting on to what the Rebbe says in the Mamar here, what's the connection between the previous Rebbe's Sicha and the point the Rebbe is making over here? Veheinif, based on that which we explained earlier, about the special quality of the sense of smell. That it reaches the very essence. In this way, this is the way the judgment of Mashiach will be. He will see the very essence of the person. That his very core and his very essence is really good. And that will be the essential part of his judgment, on which his judgment will be based. I think, Harris, you'll enjoy this. This is also understood based on that which is explained in a different place. Rabbi Yochanan said, before he passed away, I do not know in which way I'm being led. The Gemara says in Brachos, and I'll basically read it to you, that when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai became ill, his Talmidim came in to visit him. When he saw them, he started crying. So they said to him, Candle of Israel, the great right pillar, the strong hammer, what are you crying for? So he said, if I would be going before a king of flesh and blood, who today is here and tomorrow he's in the grave. If he gets angry, his anger is not an eternal anger. And if he arrests me, his arrest is not a permanent one. If he puts me to death, his death is not a permanent one. And I can ask him for forgiveness, or either through words, or to bribe him with money. Nevertheless, I would cry if I would be led before this king. Now that I'm being led before the King of all kings, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who lives and exists forever and ever. If he gets angry, his anger is a permanent one. If he locks me up, it's permanent. If he puts me to death, he has the ability to put me to death permanently. And he's not someone that I can just, persuade him with words or to bribe him with money. That's number one. Number two, he says, there are two paths in front of me. One leads to Gan Eden, and the other one leads the other way around. And I don't know in which path they're going to lead me. So I shouldn't cry. So the Gemara goes on and says, they said to him, Rebbe, bench us. So he said, I bench you that may it be the will of Hashem, that the fear of God should be upon you, just like the fear of man. So they said to him, that's it? He says, halavai, it should be that's it. Why? Because when a person goes and commits an Aveda, he prays that nobody should see him doing that. So if you will fear Hashem to the extent that you fear man, you'll be doing pretty well. But the bottom line is, what did Rabbi Yechon say? He said, I don't know which way I'm being led. What was Rabbi Yechon Bezakah? At what level? So he quotes another Gemara. The Gemara says in Sukkah, Tomer Rabbanan, our sages taught, Hillel HaZaken had 80 Talmidim. 30 of them were fit that the Shekhinah should rest upon them like Moshe Rabbeinu. 30 of them were fit that the sun should stop for them like Yeshua bin Nun. 20 were intermediate Talmidim. The greatest among them was Yenus ben Uzziel. The smallest among them was Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai. Now, what was the smallest Talmud like? Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai. So they said about Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai, he did not leave any Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, Halachas, Agodas, Dikdukei Torah, Dikdukei Sofrim, Kalim v'Chamurim, Gzeres Shavis, Tkufis v'Gematrios. There was not a single detail and aspect of the Torah in any part of the Torah that he didn't cover. He knew the language of angels, he knew the languages of demons, the languages of trees, the parables of the people the laundry people that wash, the parables of foxes. He covered every big thing and every small thing. What's a big thing and a small thing? A big thing is Maisa Merkava, the study of the Merkava, of Kabbalah, esoteric, the chariot, the upper chariot. The Dover Cotton is Havayis the V'Rabba, the entire Talmud. So he was the smallest. So you can imagine if the smallest one was so great, how great was the greatest one? So this was Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai. So Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai was someone who was obviously at an unbelievably high level. And nevertheless, he said that that he doesn't know in which way he's being led. That is because the revealed abilities of the person are not an indication on his essence. Where is he up to? It could be that his revealed abilities, the manifest aspects of the person are appropriate as they should be. Nevertheless, it's possible that his essence, the person's essence, should be in the depths of Klippa. Proof for this is Yechon Ken Gadol, from Yechon the high priest, that he conducted himself. He was a Ken Gadol for 80 years, and in the end, he became a Tzduki. So we see that it's possible for a person to be in a revealed way 100%, but it's not yet an indication what's going on with his essence. We'll carry on with something.